Good evening, and welcome to another episode of The Take here on the College Football Mafia Network. I am joined tonight by my co-hosts extraordinaire and Washington denizens, Sergeant Pickles, who's up in the mountains, and Becky Go Huskies, who's down in the city. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Huskies had a rough week, but we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that a little bit. We're going to also talk about mostly the coaching carousel from hell that seems to be developing here. Of course, Becky and Pickles might know something about that because I keep hearing the name Jed Fish mentioned for Florida.
The carousel goes round and round, and people who are on it keep trying to reach and snag people off the sides as they go by, like Jed Fish.
Like Jed Fish, absolutely. And Eli Drinkwitz. Eli Drinkwitz is another one whose name who keeps coming up, but we'll talk about it. Let's say hello to some people here real quick. Ryan Willie was first in the house. He says, hi, Big Mafia. Good to see ya. He knows it's the original Big Mafia crew in the house. Daniel Gygax says, hi, everyone. Good to see ya. Jackson Johnson, what's up, CFB Mafia Nation? Sean says, LFG, let's freaking go.
Woo!
Absolutely. Bob Swanger's here, Nittany Lion. Hey, guys, have a good show. We'll listen to it later. You probably should because we're going to be talking about that Penn State opening.
It all comes from a place of love, Bob. It's okay.
Absolutely. So, where do we begin? Let's talk about James Franklin at Penn State. James Franklin, this was his all-in season. They spent a lot of money getting him Jim Knowles as defensive coordinator. They were able to get NIL deals to keep Drew Aller there, keep both their star running backs there. Obviously, Warren couldn't stay. He was aged out, as it was. James Franklin, what do you guys think? James Franklin out at Penn State after 6 games.
Kind of long time coming if you're asking Penn State fans, and they looked good. This was their all-in season. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I said it was college football playoff or bust, and he better win at least one game. I don't think he necessarily needed to win a national championship, but you had to show that you're not just kind of same old, one and done. You're in a CFP round 1 game or New Year's 6 game before this. It wasn't going anywhere, and then to lose like he did to the opponents he did, no offense, it was time. It was time to pull the plug. It's quite early, but given how he's been there, how many seasons now? More than 10? Or
I believe this was his 11th season. I believe, yeah.
Yeah. More than ample chances to take that next step, and never did.
Very true. What do you think, Becky?
I thought that they would fire him after the year. I didn't think they'd fire him like right before, their bye or whatever it was. They played last week. But I just assumed that they would wait until after the season. I know losing 3 in a row sucks. They've now lost 4 in a row. But losing 3 in a row sucks, but it's because it feels like it's because of who they lost to, not the losses themselves. But you look at like UCLA now, and you're like, oh, well, they're playing at a high level, and they're not even mathematically eliminated from the Big Ten title. It feels like I was a critic. Someone said, how long do you wait? But what Penn State had before him was a 7-5, and in the midst of sanctions, and he came in and he was able to flip those sanctions. He was able to turn those things around. Like USC has not been able to do that since their sanctions. SMU took 30 plus years for their sanctions. They got the worst of it all, but like, teams that have these deep sanctions don't turn around as quickly as he did. He won 1 Big Ten title, and he did it in his first couple of seasons after the sanctions. So I just think they did it a little unfairly in how it went about. If you guys watched the interview that he had on ESPN College Game Day, he came out and said, he was like, it was 15 minutes before a meeting that he found out he was fired.
Yes.
15 minutes. So like, he's prepped a game plan, he's gotten with his coaches, and they just like, hey, we're letting you go. And he's like, but he did the classy thing. He walked into the meeting and told the guys he's no longer their coach, and then he left. But I think the timing was horrible. I think there was still time to at least turn the season around and get 9 wins. I think they could have at least given him a shot at that, and then at the end of the year make the decision. But all in, this is going to cost them, I'm sorry, like $75-80 million to hire a new coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
To
By
let
the
him
time you get a
go,
new coach
hire a
in
new
there.
coach. And if he doesn't, and it goes up even higher, if he gets a job and he's making $6 million a year, guess who's paying him $2 million a year?
Yeah.
Penn State has to pay him the difference between whatever he gets and $8 million. So
I
if he
think
doesn't
the
get $8
only
million, they have to pay that. Like, this is a this is like $100 million firing, and they never raised the money, guys. They just did it.
I think the only way that firing happens in that fashion, where it's right before a game, like you said, and not immediately after a game or, at a more opportune time, is if a booster made a phone call, or a group of boosters, and said, because they know they're going to have to foot the bill. That's the only way out of this. And I don't think the university on its own, mid-season, kind of midweek, just says, nope, we're done. I mean, the loss to Northwestern, or was he fired before?
It was Sunday. It was literally Sunday.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
The day after. Like, he had been at the facility for he'd been there for 5-6 hours.
It was like 3 p.m. Eastern time when he got let go.
Yeah,
but even so, that's not normal whatsoever. And I think I don't think the school just made the decision at that point. I think boosters made a phone call. That's just my opinion, because they're going to have to buy their way out of this to get anyone competent. They're going to have to foot a giant bill just for Franklin. But if they want any kind of even comparable coach coming in who has some kind of track record, it's going to cost them.
And I mean, yeah, that's why I said this is $100 million firing.
Minimum.
At the end of the day, if I'm any school, I can just go, well, I'll give you, even a G6 can now afford him, because Penn State will have to foot the bill.
But let's be honest here. James Franklin is not going to be on the breadline for long.
No.
He is a good coach. He will get you 9 to 10 win seasons, which, I mean, listen, Penn State, I get why Penn State. You're a blue blood. You have not won a national championship since 1993. I totally understand where you're coming from and saying, okay, you've been here over a decade. You've had more than ample opportunity to do this. This year was the year that we went all in. We went and got Jim Knowles, your defensive coordinator. Drew Aller came back, and poor Drew Aller. I mean, this kid shot himself in the foot with his draft stock. He's injured. He's out the rest of the season. But does anybody think Drew Aller's going in the first 5 rounds?
No.
No.
Someone's going to take a shot with him.
He's a 6 or 7, throw him on the practice squad at this point.
I really feel like somebody's going to take a chance and give him an opportunity. He's injured now. First round, it went out that went out the window the moment he got hurt. But second round, third round, someone's going to take guys. Someone's going to take a chance. He's 6'5", 6'6". He can run. He can throw. Look, everybody said the same thing about Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe went in the third round.
Is he good value brand Ryan Mallett? I guess Ryan Mallett had a better arm.
Yeah. If you can make the scouts drool, you're going to go somewhere, and they're going to look like a fool. But
James Franklin's going to land somewhere. He's going to land somewhere, and it's not going to be in the G6. He's going to land possibly in the Power 2. But let's talk about who you guys think. Who do you think is the best option available for Penn State to go out there and get. I want each of you to name a candidate. So,
Do you want my realistic pick or who I think would be the funniest thing in the universe?
let's get realistic first.
I mean, there's the artist formerly known as Matt Campbell who gets linked to every single job. I have a hard time debating whether or not Penn State will value a coach that's already at a P2 level or even like in the ACC or Big 12, or if they do try and take a shot at a top end G5 guy. Man, I know I've seen all the rumors out there for Matt Rule. I don't. You can debate whether or not lateral move, upgrade, whatever, but like moving within conference, I think why would he take that risk unless they're offering ridiculous money for it? My personal pick that I think would be hilarious is if Brian Kelly gets fired and then ends up at Penn State.
Okay, Becky, what about you?
I think that I do think that they're going to shoot for, well, the reason why Matt Rule keeps coming up is he's an alumni, and the AD that's at Penn State was the AD that hired him at Temple. So he's got a great relationship with that AD. I personally think it's going to be Will Stein, the offense coordinator for Oregon, because I think at some point at the end of the day, you want to go a little on the cheaper side, get somebody who you don't have to pay $10 to $12 million and pay $12 to $13 million to go get. But he brings an innovative offense. He can recruit, and he's younger. He's on the younger side of things. So like, I think he would be amazing, and I think Oregon fans actually, I think some Oregon fans would appreciate him gone too, but I think he would be the best. I think he's the best coach. I think he's the best candidate for any program out there.
Has he ever actually been a head coach?
Uh-uh.
That's the only thing that makes me hesitant. I mean, top candidate, I totally agree, but like, is Penn State going to take a flyer on a guy that has never actually held that position?
They did it one time with a guy named Bill O'Brien. Turned out pretty well for Penn State and Bill O'Brien.
It got them where they needed to be, but it's not. Yeah. They're talking about competing for playoffs. That's the guy they want to invest in, unless they literally are.
But you watch Penn State's offense; it's horrible.
It is, and it shouldn't be.
It's ground and pound, but you bring in a guy who can do the running game, plus can coach quarterbacks, plus can coach receivers, plus has a dynamic offensive background. That's the best thing, I think, for Penn State, and a guy who knows the conference now. You're not going after the head coach. And like I said, I think going on the cheaper side of things might be the best option for them, because they could probably pay Stein like $7 million a year, $8 million a year. They don't have to pay $30 million in a buyout to get the right guy, because that's what they're going to end up having to do.
I agree with everything you said, except I think you got the wrong candidate. I think it's Eli Drinkwitz out of Missouri. Guy obviously knows how to coach offense. He's has a win over Ohio State, by the way.
Yeah.
Which, matches, and he played Ohio State once, and that matches what James Franklin had in his entire career at Penn State. So I like Eli Drinkwitz for Penn State. I think it's a good move for him. I just see Will Stein. I love the idea of getting a young coordinator in there. I just think they want somebody with experience, and I think Drinkwitz has shown experience.
I just think they want a guy that's been over the hump at least.
Yeah,
Drinkwitz
sure.
can't get over that Alabama hump.
But he's got some wins there, and to be fair, he took the right quarterback from Penn State.
He did
made
get
the kid a winner.
Yes, he did.
He
did do that.
In fairness to Drinkwitz, the only two guys that ever got over the Nick Saban Alabama hump were named Dabo Swinney and Kirby Smart. It's a short list.
And Urban Meyer.
And Urban, but
and a Cajun guy named Ed Ogeron.
Yeah, but like not every year. Not every year.
No. But
I'm just saying, like,
if you
rough
want
point of comparison.
Like, you couldn't get over your Michigan and Ohio State hump. What makes you want to bring in a guy who's having the same issues in the other Power 2 conference. Like, that's where I'm at with it.
Because they can't afford the guys that have
Because I mean,
one,
like, if they
one at
brought
all.
if they brought in Matt Rule's third year at every stop is the best year he's had. Every single time.
I get
like,
the fact he's an
23
alumni, but to me, if you're going from James Franklin to Matt Rule, that's a downgrade.
I think it's the same. I personally think they're the same coach. They just Matt Rule's slightly better at recruiting. I mean,
if
Dylan
Rule
Raiola is a
wasn't
better
an
quarterback
alumni,
than Aller, but that's it.
yeah. If Rule wasn't an alumni, I think the case for him would be almost non-existent.
No, I think because he was at Temple and because he knows the state of Pennsylvania and he's had to recruit there, I think that gives him a leg because he was recruiting those kids out of Pennsylvania to Baylor, of all places. He was getting kids from Pennsylvania to go to Baylor. Yeah. I think Drinkowitz is a good coach. I think he's a great coach, but I think if you're Penn State, do you want a guy that's basically been in the same boat, or do you want a guy that's like?
That's absolutely true, Becky, but you also have to look at the resources available to you.
True that.
Missouri does not have the same resources like Kirby Smart in Georgia does, that Steve Sarkisian at Texas does. Penn State would give him those types of resources. It would be interesting to see what he could do.
What about a guy we haven't talked about, but what about Kiffin?
See, We'll talk about Kiffin. I think Kiffin.
No. I'm saying he's not been linked to this one. He's been linked to another one that we're going to talk about. But like, he is the guy that's the same. Like he's been at USC. He's been Ole Miss. He's been at Florida Atlantic. Everywhere he goes, wins.
Well,
he didn't get a great shot. He didn't get a great chance at USC, to be honest. But,
yeah. Yeah, when you get tarmac, that's not, usually a good sign. But yeah, when you actually get the word tarmac turned into a verb because of how bad your coaching is, that's. But
he was the best coach Tennessee had in a few years.
He was, but that wasn't saying a lot. Now let's talk about the next coach. And this one, Lane Kiffin has been tied to, along with Jed Fish. Billy Napier, we all knew this one was coming. We just didn't know when. And surprisingly, it comes after a win. He wins a game, gets fired. Billy Napier is out at the University of Florida. What do you think, Pickles? Think this was the right time, the wrong time, or should they have done this 3 seasons ago?
It was the correct move at a weird time. Like you said, they're coming off a win. Like, you either ride it out for the season, knowing what's coming, or you fire him earlier. I don't get it. Yeah, I mean, is Florida an upgrade over like an Ole Miss for Lane Kiffin? Maybe. I really don't know. If he thinks it gets him into better recruiting grounds and better to compete in the SEC. But you're kind of starting over at Florida because I think their roster's a mess. They've been down for a couple seasons. Like, can they turn it around and recruit with a little bit of money in that state? Yes, they can. Again, I'm going to, just like my Brian Kelly to Penn State, I think Jimbo Fisher to Florida would be hilarious. It'd be so good. Or Ed Orgeron even, but Fisher I think would be the best.
What do you think, Becky? Who do you think would be the ideal? Well, what do you think about the firing first? And who do you think would be your ideal candidate?
Yeah, I like Pickles. I thought the firing was weird timing because it was right after a win. But they basically said, the reports came out last Tuesday or Wednesday. They were like, we're firing him regardless.
Yeah. They just do it.
And, they even asked him about it after the game. And he's like, before the game, he's like, well, we'll just take care of business and I'll deal with Sunday on Sunday. He knew it was coming. So, he was aware. Or they were all aware. And I think at some point, the timing was just bad because you just beat somebody. You beat Mississippi State. You didn't look good doing it, but you beat Mississippi State, and it's like, okay. But it had to be done. You're losing ground to Florida or Miami. You're the state. You are the flagship school of the state of Florida. A private school, a small private school in Coral Gables cannot come out and be the best team in your state. You have all of those kids, you're in prime recruiting grounds. You play better opponents. You're going to places like Texas all the time. You're playing the Alabamas and the Georgias. You have to fire him at some point because you have to be the school, the program, and you have fallen behind both Miami and Florida State somewhat. I think Florida State's even had better recruiting classes than them, and Florida State has been in a playoff. You have yet to sniff the playoff. Not get in, just sniff the playoff. The closest you got was losing in the SEC championship game, but you might not have gotten in anyway because you had like 2 or 3 losses. So, like it has to be done. It's just,
I understand that it has to be done, but my point of view on this is, one, you do it if you think that the interim coach has a legitimate shot at turning the program around, which they don't. They don't believe that. They don't believe in that guy. They don't believe that. So why pay more to fire him now instead of just waiting and firing him at the end of the season?
That's why the timing is terrible.
Right. The timing is terrible. The only reason that works is you've pissed off the boosters to the point, if you do not act now, they are permanently going to leave the program.
Yeah, and this is the one thing we haven't talked about yet, and it does need to be discussed, the NIL era.
Yes.
Those kids are free to transfer for 30 days. They can leave the program. Now, they won't be able to play, but they can leave the program. You can literally go from 100 players on your roster down to none if they all decided to transfer.
It's gonna be many years before they fix this, but I still think kids need to sign like a 2-year initial agreement or something.
Well, here's the thing too. Napier, terrible coach, but he did recruit fairly well at Florida based off of the star rankings. Now, did he develop them at Florida?
No.
No.
DJ Lagaway was a 5-star kid, and he is.
Yeah, he is the turd in the proverbial punch bowl.
Yeah. I think his request this year, to be blunt.
Yeah, definitely. He has not done as well as previous, but hey, all those recruits are now up in the air. Same thing's true for Penn State. All those recruits are up in the air, guys. And you better believe Ohio State was calling Penn State recruits the minute after Franklin was fired.
Everybody was doing it. Michigan,
everybody was doing that.
Illinois, Oregon, they all started calling because, like I said, they can all enter the portal for 30 days.
Well, they definitely weren't calling Penn State's receivers.
All right, Becky, what do you think? Who's your perfect candidate to replace?
Oh, it's Kiffin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kiffin by a mile.
This job suits him.
This job is him to a T. And I think, like, with them not having divisions anymore and all he has to do is, like, sorry, I don't want to be mean to Ole Miss fans, but, like, Florida's a higher paying job. It's a better job. End of story. It's a better job.
Just more resources.
It just is. It's a better program. Historically, it's like outside of like 2 runs with Meyer and, the old ball coach.
Spurrier.
Just lost his name. But like outside of that, you are basically Ole Miss, Florida. I don't mean to be that. You're just Ole Miss, but going to bowl games. You saw how quickly Urban can turn it. You can't do that you cannot do that at Ole Miss. Ole Miss has taken some time. Like, Ole Miss has taken time. And I think he has a great team this year, and I think he has a team that will make the playoff this year. But, like, he could have all those kids at Florida.
I don't think Lane Kiffin's going to be available. I think he signs an extension with Ole Miss.
He's definitely parlaying this into an extension.
Yeah, definitely. He's gonna use this as leverage, and I don't blame him. To get an extension at Ole Miss, I think he wants to stay at Ole Miss. He's still got a lot of recruits there. Outside of that fourth quarter collapse this past weekend, I mean, this looked to be his best class, to date. We'll see. I think Lane Kiffin stays, which asks me, well, who's available after that? And I know you guys don't want to hear it, but
Oh, we're actually okay.
It's
with
yeah,
Washington
it
fans
is what
are
it
good
is.
now.
Jed Fish,
I think
Florida alum,
Here's the thing,
NFL
though.
experience.
Here's the thing. Florida has hired a coach who has never coached in the SEC one other time. They hired him away from Boise State. How did that go? They just fired the guy that replaced him. It didn't go well. Like SEC coaches, when you go to the SEC, if you're coming from outside the South, if you've never coached in the South, it doesn't turn out well. So I think while I'd be like, Fish is an alumni, and I have no problem if he's like, hey, I went to Florida. I went to Florida. I'm an alumnus. He's probably a side booster. Like, guarantee he gives them money because, again, he can do that. That's his prerogative as an alum. I just think, like, if he wants to go there, go. Like, but just remember this, like, Florida fans, he calls his own plays, and he ain't giving that up anytime soon.
Yeah. I think the only downside is Fish is one of the better recruiters Washington's had in a while, and seeing Damon Williams play for anybody else would be extremely disappointing. But that would be dependent on.
Damon's going to go with him, but like it is what it is.
Yeah, quite a lot of these guys I think would because they followed Fish from Arizona in the first place. But
John is the only one that wouldn't because he's gonna
go to the NFL.
He's going to the NFL because he's a senior anyway. Doesn't have any eligibility left. So.
Yeah, but yeah, Fish. I mean, like mixed feelings as a Washington fan. Even before all these like high coaching rumors, like I don't know if he's the guy to really boost Washington into that conference championship discussion, playoff discussion. They've looked better this year. They've still had some struggles. He recruits extremely well. But for Washington, it's a question of, okay, if he's gone, I mean, they're not going to match some of the insane offers that the SEC will throw out there where it's just monopoly money.
Well, I mean, they can go up. They
could, but they're not going to for him.
Like that, but they're not going to do it for him. Like,
yeah,
we talked about Matt Rule and Franklin.
Yeah,
not being able to get over that hump.
Franklin to Washington would be fun.
And I'm telling you right now, that's who they would target if Fish did leave. But like, he couldn't get over the hump. Florida Jed's not great against ranked opponents at Washington. He wasn't great with them at Arizona. But what he can do is his ultimate goal is to be in the NFL. So if he feels like this is going to get him closer, he's gone, and that's fine. Yep. But like I think Jed Fish is a great coach. I think he's a great guy. He works well with the kids. His first thing he tells the kids is like, we're going to get you to the pros if that's what your goal is. Our goal is to get you to the NFL if that's what you want to do. And we're going to bust our butt to get you there, but you have to work just as hard. And he doesn't. The kids love him. The school loves him. Everything about Jed Fish is great. So the reason why he really comes up is because his wife and kids, his daughters, all live in Tucson right now. They moved back to Tucson because they just it takes a lot to live in the Pacific Northwest, folks. And if you're used to sunshine and you're not getting it here starting in about a week, you're not going to see it again until May. So it takes a lot. And when you're used to nice weather and you come here and so that's why I said he's not just linked to this job. There's another job that people think he's going to take too. And it's also with the Big Ten. So.
Yes. Also a possibility. But I agree with Pickles. I think if Franklin can stay in the Big Ten, I think that's what James Franklin ultimately would want to do. He would want to be in the Big Ten and end up winning a national championship with a Big Ten team over an SEC team. And I don't think he would translate well to an SEC squad anyway.
Well, yeah, he coached at Vanderbilt. I think Franklin's going to – I personally think Stanford's going to make a massive move to get him.
Okay.
That feels like a very Stanford thing to do.
But think about where he was before Penn State. He was at Vanderbilt. He won at Vanderbilt, guys.
Yes.
He could win at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's like Stanford. They don't lower their academic standards for the athletes. You have to meet the standards. So if you can do that at Vanderbilt, you sure as hell can do it at Stanford. And Stanford's going to give him whatever he wants. His boss is basically Andrew Luck, who's like the nicest human being on earth.
That's true. Well, nice human being. Send me my $600, Andrew Luck, then we'll talk. But yeah, I mean, the Stanford position, which I think Pat Fitzgerald is a perfect fit for Stanford.
I think he is too.
Franklin, he does want to win a national championship. Can you win a national championship at Stanford? Especially with conference realignment going on.
You can be a playoff team for sure.
For sure, a playoff team.
Well,
I mean,
if Fox and the Big Ten get their way, yeah, you'll have 24 teams in the playoffs. So.
I mean, Harbaugh and Shaw had them, winning conferences and competing for the Pac-12, which it was a good Pac-12 conference at the time, and they were still winning it. So,
like Harbaugh had them winning Rose Bowls and Orange Bowls. Like, not hard to do, like for them. But like, you can flip Stanford. Stanford still gets 5-star kids, and I think people don't realize how much quality of their recruiting classes they have had in the past. You can get great kids to go to Stanford. You can get great kids to go to Northwestern too. Yeah, the connections that these private schools give you to like go to those schools. The moment you step foot on one of those campuses, this is why every kid out in the West Coast who can apply just applies to Stanford, because the moment you get accepted, you have a plethora of connections that you've never. I can't even describe this. Like, I have friends who went to Stanford, and if they quit their job tomorrow, they would have another job on Friday. It's that because all they got to do is pick up the phone. Like, that's something that private school, like, I don't know if Miami can do it. Maybe Rock can like clarify that, but like Stanford, Duke, Northwestern, Vanderbilt. Oh yeah, if you quit, like, you're gonna have a job within 10 minutes. All you got to do is just make a phone call, and someone's like, "I'll hire you." So,
right, but to be fair, the Stanford we're talking about with Harbaugh and Shaw was the Stanford in the Pac-12. This is Stanford in the ACC.
Yeah, and I think the ACC is wide open like that. You just have three little problems in the ACC. You have a sleeping giant in Florida State. You have, if Clemson if Dabo starts to use the portal like he should, Clemson's going to be back. And then clearly Miami is like, I don't know if they're back yet because they lost this week and the fans want to jump off a cliff again. But they're on the right track toward being back. And I think that's the most important aspect there. Like, you can win in the ACC. You just have to have the right.
I think there's a huge difference between traveling from Stanford into the ACC than Stanford traveling in the Pac-12. And I still think travel has a major impact.
And I think that's why they're going to go after probably an NFL guy, because Stanford's travel this year has not actually been terrible. They have an NFL guy leading the program. If you find the right, and I think he's been talking to Harbaugh. They've been talking to Harbaugh about this too, because he's coaching the Chargers, and the Chargers, of course, travel across country. NFL coaches have this down to a science. Jed Fish has been working with Mike McDonald of the Seahawks. The Seahawks have had, they won more games on the road than they have at home under him. I think that's why I think they're going to end up going after an NFL guy, I think, in the end. But I just think Franklin would be the best fit out of all of the coaches that are available who have college experience. You can't recruit Stanford unless they meet the standards, and that's what Shaw and Harbaugh did. They didn't even call a kid unless they qualified academically. They wouldn't even send him a letter. I don't know if you guys knew that. That's how it worked. They wouldn't send a letter until the kid could actually qualify academically. Then they'd send a letter.
Ryan Willie would like to remind you that, Becky, it takes a lot to live in the Midwest. And that is true because he is from Wisconsin, and it is well-digger ass cold in Wisconsin and Minnesota in the winter.
My family is from Minnesota.
Oh, so have you
My mom grew up in Minnesota. Grew up in Gaylord, Minnesota. If you guys want to Google that little town.
have you experienced a Minnesota winter though?
I have experienced the Minnesota winter. I was driving across the country in the middle of the winter, while I was in the military to drop off my car. My brother and I made the drive, and we stopped off in North Dakota. It was minus 27. The wind chill made it feel like minus 40. So.
Yeah. Just it's brutal, but some of us love it. I love it. I'm a fat guy. I love winter.
Yeah,
I hate summer.
My dad's side are all from North Montana, where with wind chill it's in those minus 20s, minus 30s. I'm perfectly fine with my right around freezing in the winter.
I'm good with the fact that like here when it snows, it's humid. And I don't think people understand that. It's not we don't have dry snow. We have
heavy snow.
Heavy, wet, and we don't get the static like you guys get. But that's why everything hurts your bones and you're like, why am I wet? It's sunny.
Thank you for the super chat, Ryan. Here's a little Wisconsin Badger for you. Probably getting ready for the winter.
Did you guys see the video of the elephant kicking the honey badger and the honey badger getting up for round 2 and 3?
Yeah, that
was wild. It's the craziest video. It can't go back.
Kenneth Maynor, member for 3 months. Thank you, Kenneth. New members only video dropping tomorrow. Big Money Markets. Check it out. Part 2. Give Jake Dickert credit at Wake Forest. I do. Year 1 and already competing and likely bowling at 4-2. Should have been Georgia Tech. Low key, good coaching hire. High academics, but committed to compete. Yeah, we haven't really actually talked about Brett Key at Georgia Tech yet and his possibility, but thank you for being a member for 3 months, Kenneth, and we will give you your little pirate sounder here.
Do what you want because a pirate is free. You are a pirate.
Why did I think it was going to be like SpongeBob or something?
Close.
Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about some of the earlier firings in the season. Deshaun Foster gets let go at UCLA, but the interim guy is apparently not the guy. All we ever see on the sidelines is Jay Neuheisel. I think everybody seems to forget that Tim Skipper is the interim head coach there, because all you see is that hippie Neuheisel flipping that hair around on the cameras every time that UCLA scores a touchdown. So, and I mean, credit to him. He's done an awesome job with that offense. I mean, from that offense.
Mo and I got a quick request. Can you hit Jerry Neuheisel with the let him cook real quick? Because that's what he's got.
Yeah, he is cooking. Let me get
let the man cook. He deserves it after pulling up back-to-back upsets. I mean,
well, and I was going to save this for Friday, but everybody already knows in the group.
Let him cook.
Here we go.
Boom.
Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said let him cook.
We have a soft spot, obviously, for the Neuheisel family as Washington fans, so I like to see him succeed.
I do too. It's funny to me that I think there's a large sect of people who actually watch college football who don't realize he's not the head coach at UCLA yet.
Well, yeah, because Skipper's never on camera.
Skipper, you couldn't, I don't think you could point him out of a lineup, but Jay Neuheisel, it's just
sunshine.
Sunshine and flipping the hair and everything else. But yeah, I actually only bet I'm putting on college football this weekend. I put a $10 bet UCLA money line in the over with 100% profit boost, $10 to win $835. Let it roll, baby.
That's brave.
Let's go, Jay Neuheisel. Let's get the curse of the number 2. Hey man, number 2 has been cursed this year. It's just like 2007. So, but what do we think about UCLA? How obviously Jay Neuheisel is your choice number 1.
I don't know for a head coach.
I don't know about head coach.
They might demand to keep him on as OC, which would be
Yeah.
a smart move.
And if not, like somebody's gonna hire him as an OC. Like,
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. He flipped this team completely around.
Yeah, but here's the problem. If you leave him as OC and put somebody in there as head coach, you know it's going to be a constant situation where people are trying to move Jay Neuheisel into that head coaching position. It's going to be very political.
Depends on if
I just don't think you can hire a head coach who was playing for you like 7 years ago.
Well, they did with
Yeah,
Deshaun
yeah.
Foster.
Hence why that was
Yeah.
that was too.
I'm not trying to talk bad about Foster, especially all things considered, but in my mind, he was always the guy before the guy. He was the stopgap that you had to throw in there. He looks good. He's an alumnus, big for the program. But, I mean, maybe you pull a rabbit out of a hat and he's a really good coach, but he was put in a bad position.
He was
I don't
over,
think it's...
You're 100% right, Pickles. He was in way over his head.
Not totally
Way out
his
of his
fault
depth.
either.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the guy before the guy, Neuheisel, well, in Becky's scenario where Oregon loses their dude, I think Neuheisel gets scooped up by Oregon immediately.
Probably.
Well.
Yeah. That's what I said. Somebody's going to hire Neuheisel regardless how this goes.
Yeah.
I do think that the target for UCLA, you have to find somebody that can rebuild a program. Because unfortunately, we don't want to say it, and people talk a lot of negative things about UCLA. UCLA has more money available to them than like 95% of college football. It is insane. And those who don't know, do you know what neighborhood is to the north of the UCLA campus?
Beverly Hills.
Bel Air.
Bel Air. Okay.
Same.
But no, Beverly Hills is poor to Bel Air. Like there are like $20-30 million homes literally 5 minutes from the university. This school is like it's in the spot, and like this is why I tell people like they'll never have their own on-campus stadium because those billionaires are never going to allow that crap. So you got to have somebody that can rebuild a program. And that's why you hear Jed Fish's name pop up on their list, because he rebuilt UCLA, or he rebuilt Arizona, and he had to do a minor rebuild with Washington.
Let me just put this name out there. Ed Ogeron.
Yes! Let's go!
Coach O, who changed Jay Neuheisel. Coach O at UCLA. Could it work?
The only one funnier than that would be Pete Carroll, but Ed Orgeron at UCLA, I would love it just for the media day. But I love Coach O. He's actually a legitimately really good coach. I don't know how much leash they would give him to try and turn around a program like that. Becky and I have said it forever. They always recruit well, but they never put it all together. I'm skeptical that Coach O would be the guy to do that.
Well,
he kind of, like, LSU was stacked when he got there.
Well, here's the thing. Like, UCLA hasn't recruited a top 10 California player in more than, like, 5 years. Top 10 California player. UCLA hasn't landed a top 10 California player since, like, the Obama administration, basically.
Yeah, but it wasn't like USC was pulling them either. They were going to Alabama and Clemson.
Correct, but USC has been landing at least one every year.
It's USC though; they should.
Washington and Oregon sneaking in, grabbing one themselves. But you're UCLA, you should be able to land a top 10 kid, especially since probably out of that 10, 8 of them are probably in Los Angeles.
Yeah, you should be second only to the Trojans every year in terms of in-state recruiting.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, you just got to find somebody that has a history of rebuilding. But I say this with all sincerity: money's not an obstacle at UCLA. They're just eating whatever their problems are. But
it's the state government. They just write it off.
Yeah, but you have no NIL. whatsoever right now. It is not a great NIL. It's below average in the Big Ten, that's saying something, because they have the potential to be like 1 or 2, and they should be 1 or 2.
And Dave's here, rebuilding. Speaking of rebuilding, Dan Mullen from UNLV to UCLA.
He said he didn't want to leave at all. He came out and said that he's not leaving. So
Yeah. I mean, he's an SEC guy before all this, so I don't know. I don't know how versed he is in recruiting the West Coast.
I will also say this. I think Dan Mullen, that would be a great hire, but he got banned from recruiting in the state of Washington, for God's sakes.
I'm still going to say it.
For it.
Yeah, but they don't have any power anymore, so whatever.
I think Florida was ridiculous to get rid of him, just being honest. But.
Yeah.
It's Jay Neuheisel or bust for me. I'm sorry.
Really?
They've already made,
I think
they've
Skipper
made him a
and
celebrity.
Neuheisel making there. If Skipper goes, let's say this, guys, because I said this before. UCLA is not mathematically eliminated from the playoff.
True.
Don't even go there. Oh
If they go undefeated, let's say they go undefeated.
Let's say they beat Indiana this weekend.
And then they
especially.
beat Ohio State in the Big Ten title game. What are we going to say? They're 8-4, and they're probably the 12 seed because they're 8-4, and then they're going to go on a run. Like, do you fire Tim Skipper? Do you fire Skipper? I don't think you can. It could happen. We are sitting here, and everybody's like, I think the whole country's going, for the love of God, Indiana, beat that team. Just beat that team.
Well, there's one guy in the country who wants to make $800 who is not saying that, Becky.
No, I know.
So
I would say, out of the coaches who are fighting for a playoff spot, the entire Big Ten's for the love of God, Indiana, beat them.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about some coaches that haven't been fired yet, but should be or ideally will be, and their potential replacements. Luke Fickell at Wisconsin. Luke got a show of support this past Sunday after losing another game, after not scoring an offensive point in that game. That is 2 games in a row. They have put up 0 points offensively and defensively. Luke Fickell, there's simply no way he can make it through this, right?
They did they know it's time. I don't know if it's a problem. I haven't seen what his buyout is, if that's holding them up for some reason, but you can't let him carry on through the season. It's just not sustainable. They're not going anywhere. They're not making a bowl game. So sorry. I know Ryan's having a rough one out there, but it's time to crap or get off the pot, and they gotta eject this.
Game, Pickles. They're not winning.
I don't know what their last schedule is, but man, even before the season, it's maybe a Northwestern or Purdue. No, nope.
See, this is how bad it is for poor old Wisconsin, okay? And I'm putting this out there. All right, Washington plays 5 Big Ten teams coming off a bye. Do you know who the Big Ten team is that gets Washington coming off the bye at the same time? Wisconsin.
That's correct.
Wisconsin doesn't even get the benefit of 2 weeks. We get 2 weeks to prepare for Washington. Washington also gets 2 weeks to prepare for you. It makes they can't even get lucky on the scheduling side of things, guys. And here's their schedule. They're at Oregon this week. That's a loss. That's not going to be close.
They might be lucky to lose by less than 40.
Question. Here's the thing. Can they score this week? Will they score this week?
No.
Maybe 3.
If they don't score this week, it will be over a month since they scored, and they have to play Washington. They should score on Washington. That's the way their offense is played.
They'll still get smoked by giving up 30 to 40. Yeah. So
what's the remaining schedule for you, Pickles? At Oregon, that's a loss.
Yep.
They get the bye. Then they have Washington at home. That's going to be a loss.
Probably a loss, yeah.
Then they're at Indiana.
That's a loss.
Home with Illinois.
That's a loss.
Probably a loss.
At Minnesota.
That's the only game I could see them winning, and that's just because it's that
It's
freaky
rivalry and
rivalry
it's
game.
yeah.
And
It's
that's the only game I can see them winning.
Only one.
funky stuff happens.
I'm just saying, and we're only saying it because rivalry games have strange things that occur.
That's right.
I agree, but I mean, there's just, to me, there is no way Fickle can survive this season.
If they get shut out, by Oregon, Washington, and Indiana, does he survive to Illinois?
I don't understand what's to be gained because he would have to look medium competent at Oregon, which granted is like losing by 20 or less because you're going on the road after how bad it's been. So like maybe fire him going into the bye is their thought, where they can have like a week to regroup. But then
they're not firing him this year. They're not firing him, and I think they're not firing because I think they realize the schedule is. There was nobody I could hire at Wisconsin who would win with this schedule.
well, that's what I'm saying. It's already a lost season, so get ahead of the curve on all these other openings. I mean, maybe you're worried about your roster going away, but
I think it's money. I think it's a little bit of money. I also think I think next year is make or break because next year's technically a better schedule.
Yeah, this year was make or break. The year before was make or break. The guy, and I get it, he's had some bad luck with injuries. I completely understand.
If he could have his starting quarterback, we might be having a completely different conversation.
Maybe, but I mean, that's not the case.
I don't think they're making a bowl game even with a starting QB.
Right.
No, I think the games are better. I think
their schedule was so bad, even if they had a great team.
I'll be honest. I thought they would at least beat Maryland, but when you lose your starting quarterback, you're not beating anybody. I thought they'd win 4 games. I don't see a third.
I cannot see them keeping Fickle. And if they do, for some reason, if that AD doesn't fire Fickle, that AD needs to be fired.
I'll just say this: if they get shut out by Oregon, if they only score 3 on Washington and it gets shut out, or only score 3 in Indiana, you cannot keep Fickle.
Yeah,
if you don't score a touchdown in the next 3 weeks, it's just no salvaging it.
And I'm saying this because it's like, who's like, their best thing is their rush defense. Nobody's running the ball. Nobody cares. Illinois is the only one to do it. Everybody else is going to abandon it with like.
Well, I mean, Illinois
still
has Luke Altmaier too, and Luke Altmaier's a damn good quarterback. So I don't expect them to just run either. They can.
No, that's what I'm saying. And it's like this. You're like, oh well, what's Wisconsin want to do? Throw the ball. Oregon, great secondary. Washington, great secondary. Indiana, great secondary. Illinois, good secondary. Tell me where they go. You can't run the ball. You can't throw the ball. Like you're getting ready to play 3 teams with great secondaries.
Yeah,
like Ohio State struggled to throw on these secondaries. Like this is not.
Ryan Willie says it's a $25 million buyout worth every penny. Just get him gone.
Yeah.
They haven't scored since the first drive versus Michigan, and I thought that looked good. Now I realize that was just. They must have practiced those 9 plays ad nauseum for the entire week leading up to that game. The AD needs to go too. Yeah, absolutely.
In 1 month, since September 20th, they have scored 2 touchdowns.
Oh.
They've only scored 20 points in 4 games.
That's so bad.
They're averaging 5 points. That's worse than Iowa ever was.
Ever.
At least Iowa plays good defense with no offense.
Yeah,
and special teams.
Iowa might lose that game 6-5. But
so, okay, Fickle. I think we can all agree. Becky thinks they're going to keep him for 1 more year, but I think the probability is high that Fickle
only if they can't
AD,
afford it.
I think Fickle and the AD are both gone.
The AD
you're
is
a Big Ten
player.
team. You can afford it.
The AD is a former player.
It doesn't matter.
It's so bad.
Like, they're living on. I don't know what it is. But like at some point, if Fickle stays, I think the AD gets canned.
Are we approaching the part where fans talk about someone having pictures of someone with a goat type paranoia? Because I think it's getting close.
Yeah, listen, they're a Big Ten team. They can afford 25. there are boosters within Wisconsin that can afford a $25 million buyout.
That's a bargain compared to Penn State.
Yeah, we were talking about it last night. We could rattle off 6, 7 running backs for Wisconsin.
Well, here's the thing. Let's say they do fire him. Who are they going to hire?
That was going to be my next question. Who do you hire at Wisconsin that can rebuild that program?
Nick Saban.
Okay, realistically, who do you hire at Wisconsin?
Good gravy. I don't know if they really do want to return to that old, smash mouth style where they're running the ball 500 times a game. I mean, there's not too many guys that are really running that system anymore. James Franklin.
I'll say this. They will make a run for Matt Campbell. I think they make a run at Matt Campbell. And here's the thing. Will he leave? I don't think so. Detroit, the Lions offered him like $12 million a year. The Washington Huskies offered him $10 million a year, and he was just like, no.
Yeah.
At some point, you go, how much? What's he got? And it's not like Iowa State's great this year. This might be the time, and you're not too far away from where he likes. Apparently, he loves the Midwest.
He's an Ohio guy, Bowling Green and Toledo before Iowa State.
This might be the best time to go out and get him, because
here's my thinking. You've got a coach that won a national championship at Wisconsin, or in Wisconsin, I should say. He just happened to be in Division III, and that's Lance Leipold over at Kansas. He was at Wisconsin Whitewater, won a national championship. Why not go make an offer for him? Say, hey, come home to Wisconsin. You won a national championship here. You can try and rebuild the program.
I think they will.
That would be a really good hire, actually.
The best thing that Wisconsin can do is get a guy with Midwest roots.
Yes, absolutely.
Or, they'll probably go after like a Ryan Grubb. He's from the Midwest himself. He's from South Dakota. He's the offensive coordinator at Alabama. He would change their offensive dynamic.
Yeah, but he's never been a head coach. He's really good as an OC.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're Wisconsin, at some point, you just need a guy who can recruit, and Grubb he gets quarterbacks, man. He recruits.
Ryan Willie seems to think that they're both safe.
Yeah,
Ryan,
that's what I was saying.
For you, my friend, I pray not.
Yes, cheers. We'll keep you in our
pour one out.
Here's the
one out on the
if Wisconsin basketball doesn't do well this year, he's probably gone too. I think
his only saving grace.
80's job hinges on the basketball and hockey teams being good.
Yeah. Well, with the single recruiting period now, you gotta act on a head coach first. You can't waffle around with it because it's going to be a madhouse during that portal period.
50-yard line tickets went for $40 last Saturday.
Hey, man, I was planning on going to Wisconsin for this game, and I ended up not being able to make it work, and now I'm deeply regretting it. I don't like watching my team lose surrounded by people who are cheering on their failure, so this would have been the year to go see him at Wisconsin.
Kenneth Maynor says Satterfield will leave Cincinnati to go to Wisconsin. I don't think they're hiring. I don't think they're hiring anybody from Cincinnati. And you know what, Luke Fickell, again, young head coach. Maybe that's why I think Lance Leipold makes more sense. At least he's an experienced, older head coach. Sorry, Kansas fans. I know you don't want to hear that.
How long was Fickell at Cincinnati before they made the playoff?
3 years, I believe, 3 or 4 years.
So if it was year 4, then I would be okay with giving him the 4th year. Just
to be clear, and I don't want to deride Cincinnati because I live with a Bearcat, but listen, that was a magical season for them. They had Notre Dame on the schedule. They were able to beat Notre Dame at South Bend. If they didn't have Notre Dame on that schedule, they don't make the playoffs. That entire season was based off of them beating Notre Dame.
No, yeah. I mean, what's wild?
Go ahead.
I just looked up Luke Fickell's record at Wisconsin. It's 15-18.
Yeah.
It's he's only got 2 wins this year. It's just insane to me.
It's
Yeah.
I
Quick
mean-
side note on Lance Leipold, because I was curious. He did play at Wisconsin Whitewater and then was, coach. He was actually a grad assistant at Wisconsin from 91 to 93, and then was in Nebraska, Omaha, Buffalo, then Kansas. So he's a Midwest dude. His hometown is not far from Madison. I bet you he grew up a
Absolutely.
Wisconsin. I bet you
He
he
was-
grew up a Wisconsin fan.
I bet you too, and I bet you he was a grad assistant under who? Barry Alvarez.
That's right.
And that's exactly who Wisconsin fans want to get back to. They want to get back to Barry Alvarez football.
Other
I
teams
mean-
have tried to pry him away from Kansas. I think this is the one job that could actually get it done.
I think a Big Ten job could do it. I think it has to be
This
more than
Big Ten
Midwest.
job, though, specifically Wisconsin.
It'd be Wisconsin or Minnesota. I think the only two that he could do. Maybe Iowa.
Okay.
but-
All right, final coach we're going to discuss tonight, and then we're going to wrap it up. Has not been fired yet. They will not make any decisions yet. Mike Norvell at the Florida State University
Oh man,
has
dead
not
man
won
walking.
has not won an ACC game since Methuselah was in short pants.
He's 44. They haven't won since he was 42. It's not even a
Yeah.
joke. They haven't won a game in 2 years.
Yeah.
Ow.
So he's got. I think he took a pay cut this year after how horrific it was last year. We all saw that first game of the season. We thought, okay, Florida State's back. They beat Alabama. Here we go. Since then, downhill slide.
Yeah, Captain Andrew Luck rode in with his mounted cavalry, and I don't know why. Again, this is one to me where it's like maybe you let him ride out this season, but I don't know why, unless it's a money thing. Florida State's a big job. It's going to have a lot of suitors. The Jimbo Fisher rumor from Paul Feinbaum was the funniest because I don't know if hell would have to freeze over for that to happen, but who knows? Urban Meyer was another funny one I saw. Norvell's not going to last the season. I don't see how. He's not going to have some miraculous turnaround. They're not even probably contending for a bowl anymore. So
You know how we said it's probably going to be about $100 million when Penn State's all said and done on their hiring and firing of the replacement and firing of Franklin?
yeah.
It will cost $100 million just to fire Norvell and his assistants.
How do they
But
keep doing this?
They're not. By the way, they're not paying that. There's no way because they have their lawsuit. They have all their lawyers.
They got a stadium to finish.
They're built. Yeah, they're still working on the stadium. Their boosters are paying for that. Like if they want to get their boosters to like pitch in some more money, go right on ahead. But I mean, like, I think even the governor of Florida is a Gator fan. So like, there's just nothing there's no way they're gonna be able to get what they need to do this with. Like, there's no chance. Like $100 million just to fire the staff. That's
Well,
Yeah.
like
Maybe
that's
Franklin and
insane.
Norvell can do a swap season. They call it even.
Well, here's the thing you got to keep in mind. How can they keep doing this? This all is a result of Nick Saban retiring. When Nick
Yeah.
Saban retired, Jimmy Sexton, he used every one of his clients in that job to get them all huge extensions, including Mike Norvell at Florida State. So that's how
You're
can
talking
continue
to the
do it.
biggest. Yeah, you're talking to people who are deeply affected by the retiring of Nick Saban.
Sure, but I mean that's what I mean. But I mean, can they really keep Norvell for another season? I mean, if you're Florida State, I mean,
No.
last year was nightmare scenario. I've never seen a Florida State team as bad as it was last year.
no.
And this year to carry over and not win an ACC game, he hasn't done it so far.
After starting off the season so well.
I'm like,
right?
Florida State hasn't been as bad as they were a year ago since before Bowden. That's why they went out and got Bowden. That that was literally Florida State's history for years. It was just being like meh or bad. They didn't win national titles until Bowden.
Yeah, Miami is, both Florida and Florida State are not going to rest with Miami being dominant in their own backyard. So
no, like that's why I'm saying, like, even if you fire Norvell, who do you hire?
Jimbo Fisher.
Now, see, here's where I would go get Will Stein from Oregon, because you do know you can pay him cheap.
Yeah.
He is an offensive guy. Listen, there is no greater offensive recruiting ground than the state of Florida.
True.
And you know, he can bring in some 5-star receivers, some 5-star quarterback. He can get that offense humming. Now, defensively, that's going to be a question. Who does he bring in as his defensive coordinator?
Well, this is why I think Norvell was an offensive guy. I think they're going to go defense this time. I think they're going to go back to Oregon. I think they're going to go grab Tosh Lapointe.
I don't think Tosh succeeds as a head coach. That's my opinion on him, though.
The guy can recruit. He's from the Saban coaching tree.
Yes, he can. He can recruit really well, but there's tons of dudes out there that can recruit and not put it together on the field.
I just, you never know how good a guy is until they're a coach. Like,
sure,
we would have said Walters when he was at Purdue was going to be amazing. It was a great hire, and then
he was a great hire. It's tough to do that at Purdue.
Yeah, but like, it's easier to win, I think, at Florida State than we're giving it credit for, because the fan base is so passionate, because they have the NIL, because and maybe that's the problem. Maybe the NIL is not as good as we thought. But Florida State went out and spent like crazy. They're supposedly in the $30 to $40 million range on that roster, which is like right where Washington is, right where Oregon is, right where Ohio State is, right where Texas Tech is. And I say those all have 5 wins. They beat Alabama, and then they forgot that they had to play, 11 more games.
But let me just say this in defense of Will Stein. There have been a lot of offensive guys who didn't have head coaching experience that took over historic programs and led them to national championships.
In fact,
one did it last year named Ryan Day, and he took them to the national championship. Man, had no head coaching experience. Will Stein,
it's a little different.
It's a little different.
It's a little different.
He got handed the keys to a
internal pathway.
Yeah, he got handed the keys to a Ferrari, but you're going to get handed keys to a Ferrari at Florida State. That's what I'm saying. The recruiting at Florida State is insane.
That is a 1986 Ford Mustang at best right now.
Yeah, Ryan Day was handed the keys. Yeah, Ryan Day was given a Ferrari after being shown for several years exactly how to drive it.
I mean, yeah. Like, here's the thing. I just think, like, Florida State, maybe they just need to take a year or two and get a guy who can rebuild the roster. Maybe that's what they have to do. They don't want to hear it, but, like, you're not winning with the guys you have. Right? You're not, like, you brought in a new offensive coordinator, brought in a new defensive coordinator. Offense, your quarterback got concussed last week, so that's partly why you lost. But I'm not I'm not stuck on Florida State being this great team right now, because I don't think they have the guys. I don't think they're missing something. What that something is, I can't, none of us obviously can. They can't pinpoint it. None of us are going to pinpoint it, but Norvell's not the dude. I know. I just know that right now. Norvell's not the guy.
Yeah, but in that state and within recent memory, they've won a national championship and can recruit well. So, like, yes, finding the right guy is the critical part, but a location in school where you can turn it around quickly is somewhere like Florida State.
Yeah. Kenneth Maynor says Jim Phillips put a curse on Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina. That is karma.
Well, that curse is going to cost him his job.
Everybody who voted no on Stanford, Cal, and SMU has taken a downturn.
Stanford has never been below Florida State in the ACC standings. I want people to know that. Stanford has never been below
Correct.
Florida State in the standings in the ACC.
And
That's wild.
absolutely. And I have to get this
And it's their
one up
worst
here.
2-year stretch in 15 years.
Simply for the Dead Milkman reference, I would say Florida State is a 69 bitching Camaro.
Very nice.
Drive it up from the Bahamas. Really? Of course not. The Bahamas are islands. The point is, you got to ask
Key
me
West.
what I was doing down at the shore. Oh, wow, man. More like a 1979 bitching Camaro. I ran over my neighbors. Bitching Camaro. Now I'm on all the papers. A lot of people who haven't heard that song have no idea what we're talking about right now. It looks like Becky has not heard that
I have
song.
no idea.
I've heard it, but I don't know it that well.
Oh. So Florida State should consider James Franklin. His record in big games is poor, but he would be able to recruit and develop high school talent, which is their biggest issue with Norvell. I'd call Drinkwitz too.
Well,
I
if
think
he's
they
still
will.
getting paid by Penn State, then maybe they can offer him almost nothing.
That's true, and if he does want to win a national championship,
He
Florida
can.
State
You
is-
can do it at
is-
Florida State.
you can do it at Florida State. It's immediately
It's-
can recruit.
It's one of the few places, like this is what's wild to me. It's one of the few places where I could show up tomorrow and you just add 1 or 2 pieces and suddenly you're 13-0, 14-0, and
Getting passed over for Alabama.
Yeah. But, it's one of the few stops. Which, by the way, where's that quarterback at? What happened to
Hurt.
that kid?
Isn't he hurt?
No, he just vanished. He won them the ACC title game and vanished. Never seen him again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
'Cause they keep
Just-
bringing in NIL quarterbacks.
Which works in some circumstances, but very few.
I do think Castellanos was a good choice this year. I think he works well with Malzahn's offense. But what else? The receipt, everything on paper says Florida State should be 6-1 or whatever, 5-1. Their only loss should be Miami on paper. Maybe you could say on paper Alabama, but they beat Alabama, but technically they should only have the one loss. And they can't do it.
Close
I don't
only
know
counts
what-
in horseshoes and hand grenades.
Which they're mathematically eliminated probably from playing for the ACC title themselves, but
All
think
right.
this is wild.
Before we wrap up here, I want to ask everybody on the panel a question, including myself. Which Power 4 school or Power 4 team that we have not discussed yet do you think ends up firing a coach?
Ooh. Do I want to be brave and say Carolina? If anything, Belichick would just walk.
Has to be fired. Has
Has to be fired. I'm about to say, if anything,
be
Belichick
fired.
just walks away from that. Man.
I'll give one.
No, Becky
I got
first,
one.
because I'm struggling with it. Yeah.
I got Auburn.
Yeah.
You freeze.
Auburn.
Okay.
Hugh Freeze. I don't know. Auburn fans have this superiority complex about themselves, which makes no sense because outside of what Cam Newton, what have they been? Outside of Cam Newton, I think they had one other loss in the BCS era to Jameis Winston, but that's it. That's Hugh Freeze though. Hugh Freeze has not been the answer down there. They're not recruiting well. They're not winning the big games. And if Alabama beats the brakes off them, which it looks like might happen, I think he's gone. I don't think he's. I think he's fired. I think they fire him. I don't think he lasts.
Yeah.
I don't think he makes it to a bowl game.
I'm
'Cause he won't go in the bowl
curious.
game, but,
I'm curious if perhaps Daniel Gygax would like to weigh in on West Virginia, but that was a tough spot
tried.
to be in.
I tried. Here's the thing with West Virginia, and I know they don't want to hear this. West Virginia is doing what Washington had to do a year ago.
Yes,
And what
start from
Colorado had to do
nothing,
the year
basically.
before that. Yeah, you have to start. They're starting from the ground up, and it's painful, but like Rich Rod in year 3 will be will tell you how that's going to go.
Yeah, too soon on that one, even though it's been rough. I mean, just kind of looking at the conferences, I don't think Colorado's brave enough to move on from Dion, even though I think he's pretty much shown you what he's got. Shoot.
Yeah, and interesting, nobody mentioned Dion for Florida State's position.
He just hasn't been winning at Colorado,
Yeah.
even though he's pulling in all these crazy portal classes because he can't recruit high school worth anything.
Well, no, I think he can. I think he would go. He would take the Florida State job if offered. But like he's getting $10 million a year from Colorado. Florida State's not going to pay him 11.
This one is dependent on how the rest of the season goes. It wouldn't be anytime soon. Michigan State. If he struggles down the stretch and doesn't, I'd say even, I don't know if he has to make a bowl, but that'd be a good milestone towards keeping his job. It's still early. Aiden Childs is young and inexperienced, but it's not that I don't believe that Jonathan Smith isn't a good coach. He's a program builder, and it does take time, but is Michigan State patient enough? That's my question.
Well, Jonathan Smith, I think he's actually going to land the UCLA job.
Okay.
That's a good fit.
I think he is the guy that's going to go there. He grew up rooting for UCLA.
He's a West Coast dude.
He's not going back to Oregon State. I don't think that's happening. But I think he would go to UCLA because I think he would enjoy that challenge. Plus, he would bring with him Aiden Childs and a few others. Like, he would leave, I don't think Michigan State fans, because I think they want him gone. I don't think they thought this through. He's going to leave your cupboard bare.
Yeah.
He's going to leave the cupboard bare.
The name I'm going to put out there, Chris Kleiman at Kansas State, was really the coaching du jour a couple seasons ago. And Kansas State has not done well. Will Howard left, went to Ohio State, won a national championship. They pushed him out to get Avery Johnson in there. Avery Johnson has not been all he could be. And they've struggled the last 2 seasons. I think Kansas State, depending on how this ends, I mean, if they lose to Kansas, couple more losses, I think he could be out the door.
Yeah, it might not be true now, but my hot take before the season was that if Kirk Ferentz retired, they might go after Kleiman because he's from Iowa, played at Northern Iowa, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Now I'm not so sure.
I mean, they're 3-4. They're playing Kansas this week, and then they play
Sunflower Showdown. Let's go.
Yeah. Then they host Texas Tech.
Hey,
Then they're at Oklahoma State.
that's a win.
Well, that's a win.
Then they're at Utah,
That's probably a loss.
and then they close the year at home against Colorado, which
Toss up.
Easy toss up.
like, yeah.
So you might make, so he'll probably be in bowl game territory, but he's not pushing for anything really.
No, and
beyond that.
I think the thing with him is like, and I'm kind of in agreement here with Moen. He was supposed to win the Big 12 this year.
Yes.
or be
Yes.
contending at least.
Yeah, and I think they're not on that level. And I picked them stupidly. I fell for it. I picked them to win the Big 12, and I want my time back. I was an idiot.
It's
But
been so long, I forgot who I picked to win the
I
conference.
think I had Texas Tech like 4th because I was like, they're always an 8-4 team. I can't trust them. I did the same thing with A&M. I don't trust you.
Right.
But
I had Arizona State. I'll admit it. I had Arizona State.
Yeah, but Arizona State at least is still in the conversation.
Yeah, they're still there. They're still there, but it's they've got
Beat
to have
Texas
some things
Tech?
fall their- They did beat Texas Tech.
The only
They
good thing
control
is
their fate.
Kansas State beat TCU last week. So it's like the best thing that they've done. That's their best win all year.
Yeah, they're kind of just, but I mean, I was just curious looking at it. He's kind of on a James Franklin thing. 8 wins, a weird season because it was 2020. 8 wins, 10 wins. Woohoo, Sugar Bowl, 9, and then this year. So he's, James Franklin-ish, got to the really good spot and then hasn't crossed the hump into winning the conference and playoff, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Hey, look, I just think it's a distinct possibility that he could be out of there. He could be fired.
I'm not disagreeing. I think it's a good chance. And I mean, like,
Could Wisconsin hire him? Midwest guy.
Kansas State does not want to be what they were before Snyder.
Bill Snyder,
Yeah, they do not want to go back. We're old enough to remember what they were before Snyder. They were what, I don't know how else to say this. They were Vanderbilt, basically. They were on that level before Snyder.
But Vanderbilt is a much better academic institution. So
yeah, that's the only difference.
They had that excuse to fall back on.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody for joining us on this Wednesday episode of The Take. I love to do these shows with the old Big Mafia crew. I want to thank Sergeant Pickles and Becky in particular. Sergeant Pickles, do you have anything to say before you leave?
No, nothing important. My one for the road is that never have your football and baseball teams play on the same day because one of them is bound to disappoint you. Other than that, I'm actually really looking forward to the Huskies matchup this week. They're playing Illinois. Should be a great game.
All right, Becky, what's your one for the road?
I don't want to hear people say baseball's not watched ever again. 9 million people tuned in to watch Game 7 on Monday. When there was football on at the same exact time.
Game 7 is Game 7.
And the Monday Night Football game that it was against was Detroit and Tampa. So it was a
Good
solid game. I also want to say, like, I've never cried so much for a team in my life, but if you have passion for your teams, whether it's college or pro, be a true fan and demand that they achieve the highest degree that they can. Don't fall for the bobbleheads and the free giveaways and things. If they're not doing well, the best way to get back at a team, regardless if they're professional or college, don't watch and don't go. And I'm saying this because there are a number of teams that are really, really bad this year. And if you're not happy with the direction of the programs, you can write letters all day, but at the end of the day, if you hit the pocketbooks of your administrators the hardest, they'll listen to you a little bit more.
Yeah,
There might be some billionaire guiding all of this.
I've said it before. As Washington fans, Becky and I have seen 0-12, and just over a decade later, they were 14-1, playing for a national championship. So, don't lose faith, and you got to keep after your schools because they only care when people yell at them.
Yep.
Ryan Willie, with his final super chat of the evening, says Leipold. He is endorsing Leipold for that Wisconsin job. And might I say, you brought up a great point, Becky. I saw empty seats at Camp Randall on Saturday.
Yep.
Never in my life can I recall seeing empty seats at Camp Randall.
I have seen more empty seats at stadiums that have sold out, even when the teams are bad, than I have ever before. And I'm loving it. I always have said the smartest fans in college football are Stanford and Cal's. They don't go unless the team is good.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, even you would think even if you're a bad team and
too.
Ohio State #1 comes to town, you would sell out the stadium. But I mean, empty seats at Camp Randall,
Never happens.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, and that athletic director should be embarrassed. And Coach Bickle.
Michigan wasn't even a sellout against Washington. There were empty seats. You could see it. There were a lot of empty seats there. Like, if
Washington's 5-2, like we're not some crap team coming in.
That's
I don't
the
know.
thing. No. I think that's fans' way of saying, like, we're not happy with the direction of the program. They're 5-2 as well at Michigan. They're just saying, we got our butts kicked by a team we shouldn't have gotten our butts kicked by.
But Ohio State won the championship, so until they do it again, nothing matters.
All right. I want to thank Sergeant Pickles and Becky for joining me tonight. Keep an eye on the schedule. We'll try and do one next week as well, if it all works out for us. I want to remind everybody there's a members-only video tomorrow looking at the big money markets of Kansas, Texas Tech, TCU in Colorado. And then on Friday, we will have the Big Freaking Friday show where you will eat Skyline chili. Ooh, delicious.
Out of a can.
Out of a can, right from
Out
the
of a
can.
can.
Right from the can and ice cold. So he's just gonna pop that sucker like he's Popeye. It's just gonna da 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 da. Thanks everybody for joining.
He might need the bottle of Mad Dog to recover from that.
He might. I want to thank everybody for joining us. If you have not done so yet, please consider giving us a like, a subscribe if you're watching us on mobile. Hit that hype button. It helps us small creators immensely. I want to wish everybody a happy Thursday, and we will catch you on the next take.